Another day at Inspiron. I got this and a few other things from my local FreeGeek, but this video is going to be on this one right here. As you can see, it's a red one instead of a black one. With that said, this one has some issues, some pretty nasty cosmetic damage both on the back here and on the heatsink. And, well, yeah. This one was also owned by someone that also sticker bombed it, but this time full on weeb. So unlike the stickers on this one, I kind of want to try and keep these ones as is. Obviously though, the casing on this one absolutely needs to be fully replaced. That includes basically everything. And the trackpad also needs to be replaced. It doesn't want to click anymore. And the screen right here, for some reason or another, does not for the life of it want to go full bright. I have my other Inspiron here to show you what I'm talking about, so let me get both these two turned on and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, lock the ISO on my camera here so it doesn't go anything freaky. So with that said, you can clearly see this panel right here is significantly brighter than this panel right here. But with that said, I need to dim these down to what they actually look like in person. Because with the way cameras record these things, they make them a lot more brighter than they actually are. So with that said, I think I need to go 2 notches on here. About like, yeah, 2 notches here, well, 3 on that. 1, 2, 3 on that. And you can still see, even with them more properly tuned to what they actually look like in person, this one's still far brighter than this one right here. But with that also said, this one has better color contrast than this one right here. I think another way to easily show off the color inaccuracies is to probably load up a game and try and compare it that way too. So let me get something loaded up and come back. Okay, so yeah, like I thought, I bring up a game and it really shows the difference. Now, yes, the contrast on this thing blows this one out of the water, but this one blows this one out of the water when it comes to overall brightness. And in all honesty, as nice as this screen is, I would prefer more brightness. That's just me. But again, I'm guessing it's just due to the way the screen is. Apparently this is an IPS panel, and that's why it just looks the way it does. So with that said, I am going to at the very least take this thing apart, clean it up as much as I can, reapply thermal paste, clean out the heat sinks and whatnot, and get this thing back into a semi-workable state. I'll eventually replace the whole chassis and whatnot in this thing, but I'll do that after I get this one fixed up, because this one's more my actual daily driver compared to this one right here, and that's just again due to how dim this screen is. Especially if I'm like watching YouTube videos and whatnot on this thing, it's just so dim that sometimes it's really hard to see what's going on, especially in darker scenes on videos I watch. I mean, heck, here I can actually kind of see, give me a second. I think the easiest way to show off what I'm talking about is, you can see Cuck Boy right here, old fat geezer, other geezer, and here, nothing but black. I mean, you can see their outlines, but you actually can't see the details like you can on this screen. They're just completely black. With that said, this game is boring. The premise is interesting, and that's the only reason why I played it, but I've yet to play the second one, and that's because of what they did to Aloy. They made her butt fucking ugly. Alright, I just noticed something. This little piece of metal right here that's protecting the LCD screen is bent. So the original owner apparently was in this thing. So that might be the reason why the LCD screen's broken or not functioning fully. I doubt I'll be able to fix it because, again, it's just screen brightness. But we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, this is lovely. It's not as bad dust-wise. I have seen worse, but yeah. So pulling this thing apart is actually relatively easy. And since I'm already gone to this point, I think I'm even going to fully disconnect the LCD screen and do some full-on cleaning of the case and whatnot. I don't know how much I'm going to do because I'm going to be replacing this case. So I'll at least kind of clean it up. I'm definitely removing these monstrosities. But yeah, one thing at a time. Ew. Alright, before I work on the heat sinks, I want to deal with this corrosion right here. I hope this corrosion isn't what I think it is because it is a Weeb book, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to wash my hands just in case after, because again, I don't think it's what I think it is, but if it is, I don't want to take any chances, and if it is what I think it is, holy crap, the dude that owned this thing is fucking nasty. I just first had to find the greatest technician that ever lives mother's toothbrush. Took me a little bit. So with that said, time to clean out the corroding that I hope to God isn't what I think it is. Alright, so I cleaned up what I could. You can see some of the decolorization from the corrosion and whatnot. But generally the chips look fine, nothing fell off. And I'm not going to do anything more than what I just did, which is just a bit of alcohol on the toothbrush and just scrubby. That's really all I can do. I don't have any like rework stations and whatnot. And plus this laptop generally works just fine. It's just nasty. The thermal paste needs to be reapplied and generally just needs to be cleaned up. So with that said, I'm going to put this plastic back in place and I'm going to pull the heat sinks and we're going to see what the thermal paste is like. More than likely, very dry. Someone's probably going to ask, why don't you take a look at the connector and see if there's any corrosion. I don't see any corrosion on the connector on the motherboard. I should do the same for the LCD screen. Give me a sec. The connector for the LCD screen looks completely fine. So why the backlight on this is as dim as it is, I don't know. It may just be the way the screen is designed, or maybe I can get a replacement. I don't know. I really don't want to spend any money on a screen like this until I fully know that that is the actual issue, especially considering I only spent $5 on this thing. Yep, that is drier than my ex-girlfriend back in high school. With that said, I'm going to do all the cleaning necessary, reapply new thermal paste, and put this thing back together. When it comes to the thermal pads, this one seems a little... No, that one's actually pretty squishy. That one's good. That one's good. Good. Yeah, all thermal pads are perfectly fine. It's just thermal paste needs to be replaced. And of course, I need to do a little more cleaning on the heat sinks. Alright, got it back together. I've yet to fully screw everything down, but I want to make sure this thing works before I fully put it back together. Alright, we got a light. Full fan speed. I'm not too concerned just yet. I'm looking for like any flashing lights. I'll let the thing sit for a bit first before I figure out what's going on, because I think it's just freaking out because the BIOS... Yep, there it goes. It's probably freaking out because the BIOS battery was unplugged, and yeah. Thought so. The BIOS battery being unplugged that long kind of made the whole thing freak out. So with that said, I'm going to go into the BIOS, reset the date and time and whatnot, and theoretically get to the desktop again. From the looks of it, it doesn't look like the screen brightness has been fixed, but only time will tell. I need to get into the desktop first, but I need to get into the BIOS first to deal with that. Alright, I'm at the desktop. Now, of course, due to the way cameras display or record LCD screens and whatnot, it looks a lot more brighter than it actually is in person. If I actually dim it down, it looks right about like, kind of like this in person. But unfortunately, it looks like it's still fairly dim. So let's see if there's like something in the power profile maybe. Nope, it's still dim. Unfortunately to me again. On video, it looks a lot more brighter than it actually is. But it looks like at least it still fully works. So at least I didn't kill it. And I also know how this thing goes together, so I can actually pull it back together or pull it apart and rebuild it again when I get a new chassis and whatnot for it. With that also said, let's see if I got the click working. Nope, the click is still busted. But at least it actually sounds like it's clicking now, but it's still not actually registering, unfortunately. Even if I press down really hard, it still doesn't respond. So at the very least, it does have multi-touch, and when it comes to like dragging and whatnot, I just quickly tap and then I can move it around. But yeah. Go away in the video. But yeah, it looks like I seem to have fixed it. Since I did all the necessary cleaning and whatnot, I'm going to put all the screws back in the computer and then I'll just like store this thing somewhere because, like I said, since the brightness doesn't seem to still be working the way I want, I'll eventually get back to this thing at some point, but it'll be after I get the other one fixed and whatnot. Because just like this one, the other one does need a new chassis, but luckily it doesn't actually need it just yet. But I am still gonna put my money into that one before I put money into this one, because again, the screen brightness is still kind of borked. Like I was trying to say, for the battery side, to rudely interrupt me, I kind of revived the click function, but to actually get it to respond, I have to go like right about here or so. So with that said, I have her highlighted, and let's see if I can do this properly. It's still a little wonky, but it does work. So I did manage to at least somewhat revive the click function and whatnot. Not by much, because I still had to basically be right dead center where the actual where the actual little nub is. But I got it kind of working. In all reality, that's kind of all that really matters. So with that said, I kind of got this thing fully working. Reapplied thermal paste, cleaned it out and whatnot, did a general cleaning and whatnot. There's only so much I can do with this thing, because like I said, I am planning on doing a complete case swap on this, and I'm actually thinking of doing a case swap anyways on this thing first, mainly because the other one, even though the hinge on this side is completely kind of like disintegrated from the actual chassis, it's still holding on just enough to where I can keep that thing going for probably like another few months before I actually really start looking into a new chassis for it. The reason why I want to get a chassis for this thing a little bit more sooner is because it's one of the red models, and finding a chassis for the red Inspirons seems to be fairly difficult. I can order them off of like AliExpress and whatnot, but I'd rather like to order one off of eBay. But yeah, so don't expect a actual chassis rebuild video for this computer anytime soon unless something happens. But for right now, I've fixed up the computer and it generally works. I also have to again buy a new chassis for it, get a new mouse for it, or trackpad for it, and of course obviously a new battery for it. But generally speaking, it's still a good laptop, so why not get it back into full working order? Even with the screen being as dim as it is, it's still a good screen. It actually, like I said, it does look better. It's just not as bright as I would like. So I think that's pretty much it for the video.